Well, Raf, you've been watching Nkunku develop in the Bundesliga. He is still only 24 years old. How big a talent are we talking about here right now?
Amazing talent. I think he's gone beyond the talent bracket and into a real fantastic player. Best player in the Bundesliga, not named Erling Haaland and Robert Lewandowski the last couple of years. Hugely versatile, can play in a number of positions. The one caveat I would add is that I don't think he can lead the line. I don't think that's his best position. I think he's better coming off from a wide area or from a number 10 position. So as good a signing as he will be, I think, for Chelsea, if this does go through, I still think they need somebody else alongside him to bring out the best of him.
Okay, so is he better in a 3 then, or are you saying he could play in a 10 with somebody ahead of him?
Yeah, he could be doing either. As a general rule of thumb, I think forwards, like centre backs, always like to have safety numbers. So if you have 3 strikers, I think it's easier. If you have 2 strikers, it's easier than 1. But I don't think he would be best utilized with his back to goal, trying to hold up balls or trying to link up in deep positions too far away from the opposition box. Maybe he will develop that side of his game, but he is a very explosive player, likes to dribble, likes to cut inside. And I think he will be really good signing for Chelsea. Really, really good signing.
Is this one of the first deals that it feels to you like pre-Bowley and now with Bowley, everybody's aligned?
I'm not sure, because there are so few people left from what happened before. I mean, the chief scout has gone, of course. Thomas Tuchel has gone. The football structure above Tuchel went ages ago. So we are very much talking about decisions that I think Chelsea's new owners are making off their own back, really. And the interesting part of this is that, it was one thing spending so aggressively last summer when you felt like you had to. The Chelsea squad needed significant surgery. It's another thing to now line up transfers for future windows when you still don't have a sporting director in place. And I think that's a really interesting dynamic, and I wonder how it affects Chelsea's pursuit of a sporting director. But I think this is certainly an alignment of someone that Chelsea have looked at for quite a long time, if he's not necessarily been a top target, and someone that the new owners have decided should be a priority.
And Graham Potter's role in this?
Well, I don't think he's taking a sort of leading role. I mean, he has Kyle McCauley, the recruitment analyst that he's brought with him. I think McCauley's role is to give Potter's opinion, essentially, on players. So I'm sure he will have been asked for his opinion on Nkunku, because the new owners want to be collaborative. That was a big part of why they appointed Potter and why they felt they couldn't work with Tuchel. So I'm sure, even if he doesn't admit it in a press conference, Potter has been at least asked about Nkunku and what he thinks of him and how he might fit into his team. But ultimately, I think Chelsea's owners are looking at this as a talent play, and as a good investment in someone who could be about to explode at the highest level.
How does the deal work as far as you understand it, Raf?
Well, I don't have the total picture, because it has been clouded a little bit in denials and obfuscations from various sources. But basically, when Nkunku renewed his contract in the summer, there was a clause inserted that allowed him to go for a certain amount of money. That amount of money, according to what I've been told, is not fixed in itself, but there's a mechanism to do with performances, etc., that then defines the value objectively, and you can sort of work your way back from it now, thinking, okay, what will the price probably be? And what Chelsea have done, or trying to do, is to say, we will do the deal now, and make sure that Leipzig give the player to us, and that way we don't have to sit and wait until somebody else will come and maybe trigger the same mechanism. Of course, the first step, the most important step, is to win over the player. The reason why I think we've heard these reports is because it is effectively a situation where the player can control his own destiny. And Leipzig are not stupid enough to pretend that no one's talking to him and this is all an outrage and tapping up and all sort of stuff. They understand how the business works. And they knew that this was going to come. Perhaps what they weren't prepared for is for the story to come out so early, which of course is not ideal with still a big chunk of the season to go. My guess is that with the World Cup approaching, maybe we will see some clarity before the World Cup. I think that would be a good moment if indeed an agreement can be reached between the three parties, because then there's a massive gap until German football comes back in January, and there won't be too much negativity, I think. So that's where we are. We've seen with Chelsea in the summer that some of the deals where they thought they are basically done or they're very close, they can still fall apart. So we should caution that until everything is signed, we cannot quite be sure. Players can change their minds as well, but the indications are that this will go through. And yeah, it's quite astonishing, really, if you consider the fact that at the end of August, this medical went through, and we were just in September, and we're talking about a deal that will happen in June of next year. Even allowing for sort of the Naby Keita precedent, that still is a lot of forward thinking and quite impressive, I think, if Chelsea can make this happen.
Raf talks about how great the player is, what a great deal Chelsea might have managed to pull off here. Where's he going to play?
Well, Raf's watched him a lot more at RB Leipzig than I have, but if my understanding is correct, they've often played with a sort of back three and either a front three or a sort of a 10 and sort of split strikers in recent years. And Nkunku has played in both systems and played very well in both systems, kind of off a more conventional number 9. And I think Chelsea is set up to let him do that as well, given the way that Graham Potter has started. I know they played a back 4 against Crystal Palace, but Potter is tactically quite similar to Thomas Tuchel in terms of the sort of stable of starting formations that he will pick from with this group of players. And I think whether it's a 3 or a 2, Nkunku will rarely find himself in a situation where he is leading the line for Chelsea and expected to hold the ball up and win fight balls against much bigger centre backs. I don't think that will be the plan.
I'm saying it'd be very interesting if Chelsea and Potter think they still need that number 9.
Yeah.
Now that the pendulum has swung back towards number 9s, and I think there might be 1 or 2 in the Premier League who are sort of reinvigorating that position at the moment. But I think Nkunku, as Liam has said, will find a place in whatever formation. The one thing that I wouldn't like to see him in personally is to be that number 9. I think you wouldn't do him any favors. So that's going to be, I think, still up for debate. Is this it now in terms of the strike force, or are they saying, well, Nkunku is basically the guy who will dictate how a new strike force will look? And that might not include Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and not too many of the other players at the moment. There's, I think, a lot of question marks about the forward players right now at Chelsea, which I think makes it all the more important that they really strengthen with quality players like Nkunku.